right, everybody, it's Wednesday. Welcome to Wednesday Live, our weekly live stream here on the Urban Gardener. I'm Enoch, I'm your host, and welcome everybody, even all of you who are joining us on the replay. If you can, get in the chat box, whether that's over here on your computer or down there on your mobile. But get in there and let us know you're here. Let us know where you're growing from. Let us know everything that's going on in your gardens this week, that sort of thing here, and keep the chat going. And let's see. I need to do this. Let's see where we're at. But anyways, good to see you all this week. I hope that everybody's had a wonderful week in their gardens, in everything else going on in your life too here. But yeah, just getting inside now from spending a bunch of time over the last few hours just trying to get a lot of things together here as I got a bunch of seedlings that are popping up, so I'm really trying to get a few spaces ready and prepared for all of those seedlings, as hopefully we'll have just most things in the ground, seeded, all of that sort of stuff here in the next couple of weeks. And that's just really exciting to just know that the garden is coming alive, and we've got all these great things to look forward to here as we move on later in the season. So that, and also I've got a couple of projects that are really necessary that I'm kind of really trying to clamp down on and get finished. I've got to get these things done before I take off in a couple of weeks for what will be my first vacation since all this craziness that's been happening here in the world. Finally going to be able to get out and visit and do some videos with some other gardeners and some other really cool garden projects. I'm going to be heading mainly down to Southern California this time and try to catch up with some people and do some really cool projects. And I'm getting all of those sort of things kind of confirmed and scheduled and all of that, as well as trying to get all of the sort of work that I've got in the garden all taken care of as well too. So we got a lot of things growing on and going on here at the Urban Gardener, but I'm really glad to have you all here too with me. So please let me know that you're here. Let me know what you got growing on. But yeah, I'm really surprised at really kind of how fast a couple of things are really moving right now. I just got some things seeded out. They're already already looking like I'm going to have to get them ready and put into these spaces right now too. So because I've been working on a few other projects and doing all of that, I've kind of been slacking on some of those other parts of the garden too. So they're really imminently coming up with the necessity to get them done. So I'm really trying to pull that together so that I can have that all set up and also make some videos and get some more things to share with you all before we get heading out as well too. We've got a couple of other projects and videos that I'm trying to finish, a couple of other pieces too that we'll have put out here in our next week's upload on Sunday, as well as possibly one on Friday as well too. I'm not too sure yet. Just depends on whether or not we get a couple of things put together, and then we can know about getting that done too as well. So yeah, just kind of really excited about this week and what's coming up here, and got trying to get some things. Let's see, tomatoes are already now outside, so they're kind of my big project right now. I want to get these tomatoes into their spots. I've got a few places where tomatoes already have volunteered and come up. I have some volunteer tomato spots, and those are some of the things I'm going to highlight when I show you some of those things when I'm planting out these tomatoes in the next week or two, as we get them all kind of put into their places. And I've got a couple of varieties I'm really excited about growing this year, and one that's really kind of unique in particular as well too. That's one I'm really kind of excited about showing you guys as all showing you guys all as well too. And but yeah, so we've got that sort of stuff going on, and as well as all of our peppers. Our peppers are really kind of getting ready and excited about going through the whole hardening off phase that they're going to be going through here over the next week. I just got to get that process ready and started over the next day or two when I get a couple of these other projects finished up. So, like I said, we've got a lot of things going on. I got 50 different pepper varieties down here, and we're going to be putting them all over. I've got just places all over the different spaces that we've been setting up here in the gardens throughout our alleyways, throughout some of the different spaces up front. I'm going to take advantage of a couple of spaces there too. So that's why I kind of like thought, well, I'll go ahead and keep a few extra ones that I was kind of worried about whether or not I was going to have space for, but I decided I'm going to use some space I haven't thought about before. We're just going to kind of tuck them in some spots and do that for them as well too, to keep them going, because I got a couple of really cool varieties and I'm really excited about seeing how well they turn out. And so that's really kind of exciting coming up, as well as some of our vining squashes and beans and things like that. I've got this other project and this thing I'm kind of excited about showing you guys, that we're going to utilize some more space within our back patio area, where it's our back cemented patio. We've only got this kind of limited space, and I've got some of these garden boxes. In fact, I got the new garden box that we built out. I just put together a whole new garden box. So there's a garden box video on the main page. Check out the video pages and you can see that there. But we're going to kind of use that and utilize that and kind of extend out some of our space. And I'll show you how I'm going to do that here in an upcoming video as well too. So I'm really excited about putting that together, because that way we'll be able to kind of do some more like vertical type of, getting some extra use out of some of the space with the limited type of sun that area is also getting, being in that kind of enclosed area. This is a great idea. I think that's going to really help maximize our space, maximize our output, so that we're getting more really good food to harvest out of our gardens, which is the primary focus that we have here. Hey, Nancy, good to see you there. Thanks for joining us here on our live stream. Thank you all of you who are joining with us here, also on our replay as well too. I know a lot of people watch the replay. We do this live stream every week at 5 o'clock here on the Urban Gardener, and sometimes that just doesn't fit in some people's schedules, and we get a lot of people who join the live stream through replay. So again, thank you all for joining us too. And just get down in the comment section. Let me know you're here. Let me know you got growing on. Let me know if you got any questions or any ideas for our live stream or upcoming live streams or anything like that. And I would love to hear from all of you guys there too. So again, just working on a bunch of really cool little projects around our gardens, trying to maximize just a little bit more of our space and get some things, growing in a way that I kind of haven't done before or haven't tried too much before. But I've got this, I kind of had this kind of cool idea as I was building that garden box. So that's something that we'll be working on and doing that too. Trying to think about any other things going on in the garden other than all the garden boxes and things that we planted recently in the video where we were seeding out some of our garden boxes. That was the free seed project video. A lot of those free seed project seeds are all kind of growing now, so we're gonna have to get in and do some really cool updates. In fact, I think I showed maybe a couple of clips of some stuff that's actually coming up out of those boxes and some of the B-roll footage that I put into our last video, I think. So it shows some of the things that are growing. A couple of our lettuce varieties. I got some of these really cool small leaf lettuce varieties that I was kind of wondering about how well they would work out, and they're like perfect. So it's going to be a variety that I'll probably be growing more. It's really delicious. It's really good, and getting really good output from it too, as well too. So kind of that's another thing that's going to be kind of fun. So I got to just do like a garden tour coming up here and kind of show people some updates on some things that are going on, as well as like our garlic too. I was just looking at the garlic. I think I showed just a little bit of the back alleyway garlic in our last video as well too, and yeah, that stuff is just looking really good. And the thing about that, and I'm still gonna have to wait and see when it comes to actual garlic bulbs and the size of the garlic bulbs that I'm gonna actually get this year. But I did uh, put them in pretty late this last year too. So, and I was, late enough into December that I was really worried of whether or not I was actually going to get anything at all, because I was really pushing that edge of how many days that they really need to be in that under, I think it's 40 degrees temperature. They should be under 40 for like, I think like 40 days or something like that. I'm not sure exactly the numbers on that, so don't quote me on the numbers there. But yeah, I'll probably talk about that a little bit more and give those exact numbers when we're doing our garlic episode that we'll be doing here probably in a few weeks, coming up into June, when we harvest the garlic up and see how well it actually turned out. But the plants are looking great. They're looking really healthy, really nice. I also did one other project with some garlic, and they're also looking really good too right now too as well. So I'm kind of excited about showing those things in our yearly kind of garlic harvest, garlic episode. I've kind of, been saving some footage and doing some things to get that all set up, and kind of show you guys some things that I've been trying with garlic this year, because it is one of my favorite things to grow. It's really simple. You can just get it right from your store. You just or have some fans of your channel send you some, and you get some really cool, unique varieties to be able to grow in your gardens and all of that. But yeah, really easy to grow. You just kind of pluck off the little cloves, stick them in the ground, and they just pretty much do their own thing until they're ready to be harvested. About, let's see, so we put them in, you should put them in probably early November, and you're harvesting around the end of, or June, end of June, somewhere in that area. For me, usually is when I'm doing that. So that's a pretty good growing, pretty long grow time for garlic. But it just, find a space where you can do that on a yearly basis, and just pluck them in every time, and they do, like I said, do their own thing. Really great. All right, and again, love to hear from all of you. Get there in the chat box. Let me know you're here. Let me know what you got growing on in your gardens. Anybody got anything that they're growing this year that they haven't grown before? That's kind of one of the usual questions that I ask here. Let's see. Oh, we got Nancy has 2 rows of garlic all around the perimeter of her garden, and 200 plants. It's a lot of garlic. Let's see. Well, I might have maybe, I don't know, half that. I probably have half that, maybe, if I really counted all of them in the different spaces that we have. But 200, that's a good amount of garlic. And again, too, one of the things is I grow a lot of garlic too. I probably grow just a little more than I actually use. But I'm growing to find my best, biggest bulbs and the biggest cloves out of all of my different bulbs that I grow, and I save those big, nice ones. You'd think those would be the ones you'd really go for and you'd want to eat, but no, those ones are the ones you want to save for seed for your next season, and that's what I do with those. So I get my biggest and best ones, save those for the next year, and again, like I said, so easy. You just stick them in the ground. And the big learning curve on that was because I spent a couple of seasons when I was first learning how to garden, putting garlic cloves into the ground in spring. It's the whole idea when you're gardening and when you're first growing and all of that too, which was the same for me, was that there's this one time a year you're waiting until the last frost date, which is something you see a lot on the back of a lot of seeds and seed packages and things like that. And so it's kind of the idea you get in your head that this is when growing happens, but it's not necessarily the case for a lot of different varieties of things. Some things just have different times of year and a different process for growing, and that's one of those things about garlic. It seemed at first kind of complicated to me because I wasn't figuring it out. I was putting them in the springtime and really only getting greens, and I wasn't thinking that they needed this big long growing period either. So I was getting kind of distressed early on about whether or not they were actually forming or going to form into bulbs or do anything really, and other than just giving me these garlic greens that I was using. So yeah, once you figure out that it's just that easy of like getting them planted in the fall, just as the weather's just starting to change and get cooler, around that late October, early November type of period. And in the case of me, you kind of push things off or don't get them things do when you're supposed to. And I'm kind of really kind of one of my bigger faults in my gardening. And so I'm pushing the limitations and getting them out kind of a little bit late, but it seems that garlic, like I said, is that easy, that you just get it in during this window, this period of time before it really starts to really freeze in the wintertime and all of that, and then let them get in the ground and do their own thing. And that's what's so really great about them. Not only that, they're so really useful. I mean, I use garlic all the time in a lot of things that I'm cooking in my kitchen and all of that sort of stuff. So garden. And another thing about Nancy's comment too is that she talks about having them around her garden and all of that. And one of the things I think we talked about a while back ago too is that garlic is somewhat of a deterrent for deer a little bit. They don't like it, and also kind of a deterrent for other animals as well, even cats who like to chew on leaves. They don't really they don't really care for the garlics and the onions and those sort of things as well too. So that kind of keeps them away from certain things, having those sort of things in and around your garden too. So they're a pretty good deterrent too. And then in that case, you can just kind of let them grow kind of wild almost too. But I like my stuff uniform. I like my garden a little bit like that. I'm just kind of crazy like that when it comes to how I'm setting up and doing things. I like them just kind of in this certain particular way that I envision it. So I'm always trying to make sure everything's set up. So, but yeah, you could just kind of just put some cloves into the ground and just kind of let them grow, and they'll keep growing year after year after year and staying in there. The bulbs will just keep splitting and splitting off. In fact, I've got a couple of them that are in the ground from last year that I didn't know were still in the ground that actually grew up out of the ground as I forgot to get them harvested out of the ground the last season. So I'm sure that it looks like a pretty split little mess down underneath of there, but that'll be another thing that we'll show in that garlic video as well. All right, let's see here. All right, so yeah, another thing, like I was mentioning too, this last live stream is about the plans for us heading out of town and going to do some visits finally with some folks out there and more in the Southern California area. A few people up more in the Northern California Bay Area type area as well. So we got some cool things going on. We'll be going and seeing some pretty familiar faces that people have seen in previous videos from visits that we've done before. Plus, we've got a couple of really cool visits that I'm excited about bringing to you guys in a couple of projects and people that I'm going to meet up with and do some videos and do some interviews with. And I think they're really cool. I think there's some really neat things to be going on in the urban gardening kind of world down there in the Los Angeles area. And so I'm really kind of excited about doing that. And as it's building up too, maybe getting a little bit more nervous as well too, because and I think I mentioned this too last week as well, was that it's been a year and a half, and it kind of, when I started the channel and I finally first went out and started saying, well, I'm gonna go see something. I want to see some of these things that I've been reading about or seeing about in a couple of places locally, and then when I got out and started doing these videos and meeting some people and talking with them and doing this whole thing, it kind of turned itself into kind of being kind of this cool, like, let's do features, let's sit down and do some interviews with different people who are involved with these projects. And that sort of thing just kind of evolved on its own in some sort of sense with the channel. but became something that was really fun, and I was really kind of like getting into. I was like, this is something maybe I could do. I didn't think about it before, as it just kind of happened. And so and then so here I am. I'm meeting these other YouTubers, these big channels that I've watched, and being interested in learning the different things about gardening that I was doing, and I was meeting these people, and I was doing these interviews, and all that sort of stuff was going great, as it was happening and all that. But then all of a sudden it just kind of stops, as I was kind of really excited about getting started with this last season, and everything just kind of was like, okay, whoa, no, now you can't do that. And now this whole break of that whole year and going into this year and all of that is just really kind of put me on that thing. It's like, man, that thing just kind of happened. That was just kind of going. Am I going to be able to jump back into that and do all right in that sort of situation? But I don't know. If you see the live stream we did a couple of several weeks ago, a couple months ago, when first day of spring live stream that we did with Kane Starr and Christopher Branstall. That was kind of fun. We was kind of working a little interview and kind of a little fun chat and that sort of thing is the way I kind of like to conduct the interviews anyways. And that was kind of cool. So that was kind of fun. That was kind of like a little reassurance that, everything's, probably going to be just all right. And it'd probably be like, riding a bike, get right back onto it and get back into it. And so I'm kind of excited about seeing that, but nervous at the same time about it as well too. So, but there'll be some other people, not a lot, several people on the visit that we're going to go visit. I've already talked with, I've already interviewed before, so that'll be kind of something that'll be a little easier, when you do that. And then again, some people that we haven't interviewed, and some really cool projects to show all of you guys. So I'm excited about doing that. Oh yeah, I mentioned about the garlic being a deterrent there for deer and all of that. Yep. And then after you harvest, then it's just like open season and all that. And then again, at that point in time, maybe it is something that maybe you just want to leave, grow maybe an extra row or something, just to kind of leave one barrier. So you got all of yours, and you can just leave some in there, throughout the rest of the season, to keep one barrier around it as a fence, that you just keep there. I mean, if it works good enough, anyways, then that's probably the possibility, what I would probably do. But yeah, it's the big thing of dealing with gardening is dealing with pests. I was really excited about getting some spinach. I had a couple of spinach varieties. If you saw the recent videos that we did, I had a few different spinach varieties that actually didn't go to seed right away, because the weather's been kind of changing a little bit, or doing some really funky, like getting really warm and then cooling down, and getting really warm and cooling down. So a couple of those little warms sprees like that really kind of set off some of those early spinach seedlings. So, but I did have a couple that resisted the bolting, and I was really excited about getting them into our boxes and all of that. And for the most part, they're doing well. Took to the boxes really well, but so did all the earwigs out there. I've got I live on these alleyways, and I've got these issues with earwigs. Snails and slugs are another big problem, but those earwigs just love the spinach, man, and and so they get to chomping and eating on all of that stuff. And so they're having a real heyday on all my spinach before I get a chance to get to it all too. So I gotta try to come up with a little bit of a measure or something to handle and tackle these earwigs, because yeah, I want to get some of that spinach for myself. Spend all that time waiting for it. How's it going, David? Good to see you there. Thanks for joining us on our live stream today. Thanks everybody for joining us here. It's good to see you. It's good to see everyone. And just kind of, trying to get some things together. As I said, got really busy. I'm always busy, and that's the thing. But really busy though. Just really try to put some things together so I can get out, and also go out on this road trip and not have to worry too much about all the things that we got growing on here too. That is a big thing when you get into and have some big gardens and these kind of bigger projects like I have and all of that, and all these different things that we got going on, they can be certainly on the back of your mind as you're out and about on a vacation, or just spending time away from your different gardening spaces. Can be kind of worrisome about whether or not things are going to be able to survive and make it. I'm going to be working on a project that we'll be sharing with you pretty soon on setting up a water system, so it's all kind of automated and timed. But that's not going to be everything. I'm not going to be able to hook up everything. It's try to get most things set to that, but then again, I'm going to be gone and I'll be worried about whether or not that timer is actually going. So hopefully I'll get some friends and some people who will be able to help kind of check on some of those things, keep an eye on some of that stuff while I'm gone, and things will be going all right. I won't have to worry about it. But that is one of the big things to kind of get prepared about all this stuff too, is to make sure that's all kind of going to be okay. So I don't want a lot of things to go to waste. Again, sort of like the spinach, to spend all this time worrying about and growing it all the way from seed, all this sort of stuff to finally get it out into the garden, and then find that not able to harvest because of some sort of disaster in the meantime, pests and weather, watering, that sort of stuff too. Are you gone and it dries out or something? It's my biggest nightmare. Coming back to just dry, dead plants and dry garden beds. I could totally. It wakes me up in the middle of the night, sweating. But it would really, actually. So hopefully we'll, have solutions and backup solutions and those sort of things all figured out for the gardens, and everything will be all right. Okay. All right. So let's see, what else have we got going on out there? I've been working on. I've been trying to clear out. Weeding is a big thing. So when you grow in a lot of these spaces, like I'm growing in the alleyway, fighting weeds is. I know it's a problem for everybody in all gardens everywhere. But I don't know. I mean, my certain spaces I have in some versus to like right where their alleyway is and right where all of these spaces are, is just. I'm not sure the name of a certain weed that it is, but it gets going down up and underneath and into, the ground deep, and just sends it, it breaks apart, and it's just forever trying to battle that sort of stuff and do all of that to keep some of our spaces good. And I gave up on a couple of different spaces that I have along our alleyway last season. So these spaces are like just really, really grown over. These weeds have really just kind of, you know, you know, made it their home base basically. And I'm trying to battle them back and reclaim that space so that I can put them back to work, and put some of our. I've got some strawberries that I want to put into one space, and I want to get some of our corn and some other things growing in another space. So I've got a whole bunch of different things there too. And let's see. Okay, let's see there. Sound seems off. Oh well, hi Chris, how you doing from Mexico? Sound seems off today. And I was listening back on the previous live stream, and the sound, yeah, I think it's got to be because I've been running and doing these live streams from a new phone that I've got, and I like the quality of the picture. The quality of the picture is a lot better than the phone that I used to use for the other live streams, but I don't think the microphone is probably as good as what it used to be when we used to do the live streams, because I've only done the live streams through the phone and the iPhones that I have, and the older versions seemed to like the really caught the sound really well, and even outdoors when I was with some other people too, when we went to the heirloom exposition, I thought that that sounded kind of all right when I was listening back to that, but this one here just really isn't as well, and Yeah, it's hard to get kind of closer. It's literally kind of like right there actually as well. This is pretty wide screen actually, a wide angle one. So I mean the phone and all of that is pretty much right there as well too. That's something that y'all can't tell from there. It does kind of look like I'm a little bit further back, but the phone is literally just like right there. And so yeah, so try to scoot up just a little bit closer so I'm not. Because then I got the computer and all that sort of stuff right down here as well too. So, but yeah, so that's going to be something though too that I'm going to be working on here as well, and I'll kind of let everybody in on some of the things that I'm working on behind the scenes of everything too. Is that I'm trying to work on a setup. I did get some new cameras and one of the cameras that I got for the live streams. I just got to get a couple of other components, and I've been and get it set up and kind of figure that out. So that's kind of my learning curve on the tech kind of aspect of some of that sort of stuff. Live streaming through the phone is pretty easy. You just get on there and type it in on YouTube. You set the date, set the time, and then I just go through the computer real quick and I switch out a new thumbnail and put the description on there. But it's pretty easy setup when it comes to all of that. But getting through the whole camera, making sure I'm going to have the lighting right, because through the phone it handles and does most everything with the lighting as best it can anyways. um, the one thing I know is I need a good front kind of key light up front. So those are the sort of things I'm going to work on and get set up through that, hopefully in a few weeks after we get back from the trip and visits and all that sort of stuff, so that I can hopefully get set up with a whole new different thing. And if you guys got to see what was the live stream was like when we did the three-way live stream with Kingstar and Christopher Branstall. You saw that. That's kind of something that I'm kind of working on and gearing towards here, and in my mind in the process. So I'm trying to put together some things. So hopefully down the road here, as we get more probably towards July and August, maybe we'll be doing some new things with this live stream and have some really kind of some kind of keep it a little, get it a little bit more fun and put some a little more, put a little more into what we got going on here. Anyways, and yeah, well, and that's one thing it is. It's about moving the mic, and that's the thing. Yeah, the mic is the phone, but that's one of the things as well. I got to get to. It's a microphone that I'm going to hook up through the setup. So that's one thing I'm working on as well. So we'll have a whole new microphone, new kind of setup with our camera system. It'll feed into this other system, and hopefully we'll have a lot better live streams, a lot better quality when it comes to that sort of thing, and hopefully less disconnection issues and things that I've had and problems I've had going through the phone as well too. So hopefully we'll be upgrading and doing some new things, and kind of taking this whole thing to a different aspect, because it is one of those things that I'm seeing more and more across the whole YouTube platform, as well as if you see out there, podcasting has become a big thing. Everybody's got a podcast anymore, and it seems more and more too here on the YouTube platform. Everybody's moving to a more live stream type of situation for themselves as well too. So that's one of the things I want to be able to do, is kind of get in there and kind of improve some of the quality and some of the sort of things when it comes to our live streams, because there'll be a lot to choose from out there. Let's see here. And yeah, okay, so David, you're asking about the felt fabric type of pots, the kind of grow bag kind of pot things. That I haven't tried those yet. I've seen them a lot, and have thought about it actually. So we'll probably try those out. Maybe this next season, and I'll probably order some, and I'll get a hold of some of those, and we'll get trying some of those for some other things um, that I want to try. Maybe try maybe a little bit bigger than, I've got the 5 gallon buckets, which I've got a lot of those, a lot of great growing space with all of those. I think those work out really well. And when it comes to price as well too, those 5 gallon buckets are really a steal when it comes to having some sort of pots and that sort of stuff. Although I'm sure that these fabric pots, which I don't know for sure, might maybe last a bit longer than the actual buckets themselves, because the buckets, those are going to wear out in the sun after several years. I'm gonna say, I've got some that I first started using maybe about 8 years ago that are finally probably about their point where they just want to kind of collapse. So I've got a handful or several of those that I'm going to be replacing actually after this year, because you know they're just, the plastic is just starting to break down in the sun. The UV rays and plastic, or UV rays break down plastic over time, and even those nice thick buckets can wear down over time. So they've got, in what my use of them is, I would say about an 8 year life, growing out in the full sun too, though too. So not too sure about how those fabric pots, but I've seen some that are really nice and thick. So I'm not too sure how long and how many years those will last when it comes down to it as well too. So it's something to check into and look into as we're growing, because I know a lot of people use those for their small space gardening. So it's something that we do want to be able to try and use and see how well it works out for us here in our gardens too. Also, have you used Root Blaster? Um, Nope, not too sure I know about what Root Blaster is. So if you could give me more of an idea about what that is. But yeah, um, that's one of the things though too. I want to be able to, I've been kind of limited on some of the things that I do and use and have used around our gardens. But there's a lot of other great ideas and things that I'm trying to move on to and trying to use and do that other people do in their gardens and have used in their gardens as well too. And one of the things I will say though, I think I might have shown, and I'm not too sure. Nancy might be able to remember actually, back when I first was doing my first gardens, I was using some of these kind of fabric shopping bags that you could buy in the grocery store. And I actually filled some of those with soil and was growing some plants out of these just fabric shopping bags that you can get at the grocery store. Now, unless you're getting ones that are really heavy duty and thick, and I can only recommend using those probably over about one season at a time, because those things broke down really quickly and weren't really the best way to grow. But they worked through that season though. So if I was just growing something that's annual, and then I'm just going to toss it away, maybe just get one use out of something before it's getting thrown out or something, I don't know. When it comes down to it, I would probably more recommend trying to get a lot longer use out of one of those reusable grocery bags, reusing it to buy groceries, than actually planting a plant into it, because like I said, it's only one season, one growth, and at that point in time, its use isn't really for the best benefit of what it was made for. And let's see here. Fertilizer to make your roots grow faster. Yeah, no, I have not heard of or used Root Blaster at all. When I'm like rooting things, I do have like this root stuff. It's kind of like a white powder stuff I use when I'm taking cuttings and things like that, and I'm trying to root from cuttings and things that I use. But I don't haven't used any Root Blaster, or I used to actually, and I haven't gotten any this season. But I did use a little bit of like some mycorrhizal powder that I would actually add to the root system and around the root system of some plants that I got that method and learned that from John Kohler. I just used through most all of it and didn't replace my mycorrhizal powder, so I didn't get a chance to use much of it for some of the things I planted out this year. But I do still have some, which is actually a good reminder. I should write it down on a note and actually buy some more of that for some of these starts that are going to be going out here just the next few days. So maybe I can get some here in the next few days through Amazon or something like that, and make sure I do that. Let's see. What kind of fertilizers do I use? For the most part, I'm using just basic like organic fertilizers, usually the dry organic fertilizers. I'll spread a lot of that out. I just get some all-purpose stuff. I do have some beds and some special areas of the garden that I'm growing in just to test out and use a specific organic dry fertilizer that I got from Johnny Appleseed Organics. They sent me out some samples of a new um, organic fertilizer that they're developing and putting out now, and I'm trying it out, seeing how it does. Going to be doing some reviews and hopefully some things for them and with them later in the season that I'll be sharing with all of you guys as well too. So I use that mostly in there, and then another thing that we'll be talking about here coming up probably after I get back from our trip to Southern California. I'll be doing and showing you guys how I set up and we're going to be setting up a compost tea. I got this area. I've been, I have a little bubbler thing that I bring out every now and then and try out some compost tea things that I got from some people, or just doing some basic stuff, just trying a couple of things out. So I kind of thought, well, okay, I'm going to take some of those things I learned from that and set up a really cool little compost tea area. I've had this really cool pump that's just been kind of sitting and waiting to be used for that. So we're going to set all of that up. We're going to start making some compost tea. So we'll be foliar feeding a lot of our garden this year through some compost teas and some different things like that that we'll be trying. So in some way you can kind of think of that as a fertilizer in a way. But other than that, just really, just trying to build soil through, utilizing different composts and building up soil on the top every single year, adding in just a little bit of that dry organic fertilizer, and hopefully getting some of that, if you get some that's got some real good like microbes and things that are inside there built in, those kind of get added in, and just kind of try to build that soil underneath and within all my boxes and all of that too. And things seem to be getting better year after year that I've been noticing too. So hopefully, yeah, we'll be seeing some good results with some of the Johnny Appleseed organic fertilizer that they got. It's called Climate Guard, and you can check that out in the building our bed video that I put out a few weeks ago. We built out a new garden bed for our back patio, and that's what I'm using in that garden bed as well too. And again, we'll be talking about that and showing some of that here as well in an update video, and something that I'm setting up in the back patio as well for you all coming up real soon. And let's see here. Do I cook and maybe share some of your garden recipes? Now, I've thought about that, and I've actually taken that question before early on when I was doing this channel and developing and that sort of thing, and trying to figure out what are the different things I might try or do. And ultimately, really, I'm not the best cook. I do a lot of stuff, and I eat a lot of stuff from the garden and all of that sort of stuff. And maybe I'll find like some things and maybe show, and then I just don't want to get caught up in the idea of trying to be like a cooking channel or that sort of thing. So, I'll kind of leave it to those who are more of the chef and got that sort of thing, and capable of sharing some really good ideas when it comes to that. But yeah. And then again, too, I'd hate to, like try to fake it in some way too, as well. Like, here, look at these great things that I grow or cook with, and all that sort of stuff, and all of that as well too. So, but yeah, maybe though I'll find some really good chefs or something like that here in the future who could share some recipes from things that are grown in the garden and that sort of stuff that we could do a video with coming up. there's several different really cool urban gardens that are centered around restaurants or small kitchens and chefs who run these kitchens. In fact, the Noble Rot that we've done a video with a couple of times. We've gone up there in Portland. It's up on a rooftop on a building in Portland, Oregon, and they grow and garden right there on the rooftop of their building and use that stuff right in the kitchen there. The chef uses some of that stuff right in the kitchen and what they put right there in their restaurant and all of that. So, but yeah. Yeah, exactly. See, there we go. We have to get maybe Chris on a video or something there too, and maybe have him do some chefing things for us and show us how to make some things with the stuff you grow in the garden or something like that. I don't know. We'll have to figure something out though too, because again, I'm not the best cook, and I don't think that would be probably. I don't think I'd be the best at trying to fake being one of those internet cooks putting together cooking videos type of thing. But oh yeah, absolutely. Of course, and that's the one. And I do, and that's a big thing about growing your own food though too. And there's a lot of people who probably, and maybe I should just put up a video just kind of explaining about it in the maybe shorter form in one of my videos and kind of talk about that sort of thing, about that whole idea and everything for people who might be wondering in a sense, because that question's probably got to be for a lot of people who view somebody who grows a lot of food and grows a lot of things in their garden, what and how they use it in their kitchen and for food and all that. And I use a lot of stuff and especially at this point in time with a lot of the greens and things that I've got coming out of the garden right now. I've got a ton of like salads and things like that are going on, and and I try to utilize as much of everything that I can. And I'm also trying to grow more in different things to try and expand some of my tastes. That has been one of the things that I've talked about recently too here on these live streams is about how I was that picky kid, growing up who didn't, enjoy a lot of different vegetables and things like that, and have had to learn a lot more about my tastes and some of the things and expanding some of that stuff through gardening and growing and all of that too as well too. So maybe if there's some things kind of like in connected with that or something like that that maybe I'll work on with some ideas and do some sort of like some sort of video or something to kind of explain about cooking and growing food. But definitely would love to be able to talk with some urban gardening chefs who've got some really cool kitchen, garden type situations going on. That's something I should definitely keep my eye out on. In fact, I've got a couple of projects of people that I was looking into this last year that are still kind of on my list for things I want to look into that are centered around, again, those sort of situations with gardens that are growing outside of kitchens. So those are things that hopefully we'll be able to do. And let's see here. I feel like I'm just going on. We are at about 50 minutes, heading into an hour. Probably look into Nancy asks, how do you dust houseplants? Well, for the most part, I just, I get a, for the ones that I really are kind of, which I'm looking around and I'm trying to think how many would I have a problem with other than the idea that I just basically use a kind of wet towel of some sorts, and just kind of wipe off and keep them clean, because that's one of the things you do want to do with houseplants. They do breathe as well. They do all of that through their leaves and all of that. So you do want to keep them from collecting too much dust, especially in this sort of situation where they're in, a corner of the room where a lot of dust is actually going to be kind of attracted to and collecting. So I am going through this probably every couple of weeks as I'm really, kind of, you know, taking some of the plants back and, and taking dead leaves off and those sort of things and cleaning through. And I'll go through and just take basically a wet towel of sorts and I'll wipe off those leaves that are really looking like they're collecting dust, really. And every now and then when I've got time or I'm just really going at it and taking care of things and repotting and all that sort of stuff, and I've got myself on the project of taking care of everything here, I will just go through and just take care of every plant anyways. But I'm just trying mostly to keep an eye on where it looks like problems are kind of building up a little bit. It happens a lot with some of these big leaves that are up in the pothos. I'm having to clean that one off probably the most. And where maybe you can see some of them that are up here, but some of the ones you can't see that are up and around and all of that, they're big, nice leaves, and they're collecting a lot of good dust. The corn plant as well. It's always getting wiped off and cleaned off and all of that. In fact, it's actually due for a cleaning right now too because the flower just died back on it as well. And one of the things I mentioned with a post I put on Instagram is I've been trying to work on my social media connections just a little bit more. I haven't done Instagram very much, so I'm trying to really get working on all of that. But I did do a post talking about the flower off of that corn plant, um, Dracaena or Dracaena that it's called as well too. There are several different varieties of them, and the flowers off of those, if you're lucky enough to get one to flower, I had one that I grew for probably about 15 years. I grew this corn plant, and after 15 years, and it was one of those ones too. And I really get the idea of certain people who have plants and they see something, and for people who know those plants, they look at the question, they look at people like, oh no, what's going on, or what do I haven't seen this before, type of thing. And after having a plant for 15 years and it just shoots out a flower all of a sudden, it's quite a thing. And I was like, whoa, no, I haven't seen this before. And so I had to really get some help in understanding exactly what to do and deal with. But I'll tell you what, I've had citrus in my house, a citrus tree, a blood orange tree that I brought in to overwinter, and it put out flowers indoors, and at the time thought was one of the most amazing smells that I've smelt. Was just these citrus flowers indoors, and when you get a lot of them, I mean, this tree put out a ton of flowers this one winter, and the smell was amazing. The corn plant, probably 10 times the smell. You open the doors, you're probably smelling it down the block. It's drafting, all down the block, and it's got an amazing fragrance. So, and I heard somebody, because I had to look it up and to figure out about the flower, and I looked up a video of somebody talking about it, and that was the one thing I seen. I watched a couple of videos, and nobody was talking about the smell. And then I saw that this one guy was talking in his video, and he talked about the smell and how he lives in an apartment building where it's indoors, and you walk indoors, and kind of like when you're in one of those hotels that's got the indoor, and you're going to the doors inside, and he talked about how his corn plant flowered, and neighbors from like 2, 3 floors up above him were asking him about the plant and the smell that was coming from his apartment from that corn plant, because it had drafted all up through his apartment building. And that's how amazing the smell is off of one of those there too. So so this one here, actually, I've had I've had this plant here only for just a couple of years now, and it just put out a flower just a couple of months ago, and again was the same thing. So I've been lucky enough to have 2 different corn plants go to flower and get to smell this really great, amazing fragrance that they have. So if you're ever lucky to have one that go off that gets to flower, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. It's really something else. All right, so I suppose that we've probably hit that hour mark here real soon. Oh, wow. We still got 5 minutes to go. It was only 5 minutes since I checked the clock the last time. Anyways, I just want to really thank you all so much for joining with me and sticking with me here throughout this live stream today. And again, all of you who are joining me on the replay, I know a lot of you catch this live stream later on in the replay. So again, thank you very much for joining with me here and being a part of my audience here on the Urban Gardener. It's really great to have you all with me, all of you supporting this channel. It's just a really great experience to do all of the things that I get to do in the gardening um, world, the gardening community, and it's really great to be able to share it all with you as well too here on this channel. And I hope to be able to bring to you all some really great things throughout the regular videos of our channel, plus upcoming too. Again, I think I didn't actually get to mention too about the trip coming up, is that we will continue, and hopefully, barring anything happening or any connection issues or certain things like that, we will continue to do the live streams. I'll just do them on the road. I've got a couple of ideas. Hopefully those will work out as well. And we should have hopefully a couple of good live streams as well too coming up at the beginning of June. But again, we'll be here every week, 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time here on the Urban Gardener channel. And we'll have this gardening conversation, gardening chat with all of you who get the opportunity to join with us here. And Chris, again, thanks. Yes, always nice to stay in touch with you too. Again, man, and cheers to you as well, right down there in Mexico. And hopefully everything is going great with all of you too. David, again, thanks for joining with me here. By the way, what is your Instagram account name? It is the Urban Gardener, just like the channel, but put a 1 after that. So at the Urban Gardener 1 is our Instagram account there. And hopefully we get a chance to have you come join us there on the Instagram account, as I'm going to be posting more on that Instagram account. I don't know why, and here I'm going to go on a tangent maybe for a minute, but I don't know why I haven't done this sooner. I've been just really enjoying. I've been joining a lot of people's different accounts and all of that, but enjoying a lot of the different things that I've been seeing. It's just a really great place to get a lot of garden content and see a lot of the people who just really enjoy gardening too. So I'm hoping to really be able to share and connect with a lot of more people through Instagram and all of that as well too. So Instagram on, I think, and I'm not sure, but there might be a link down in the description for our Instagram account as well too. Maybe one of the little buttons that's up on our main page, up on the banner of our main page. I think there's a button for our Instagram account, our Twitter account. Also, there's a button for our Facebook group account. And I can't say that. I should have mentioned that at the beginning of the video. So especially to all of you who are here with me at the end of the video, I do have a Facebook group called Let's Get Growing, a gardening group on Facebook. I'd love for all of you to join that group there too. I did put a link up on the banner, as well as a link down in the description of this video, this live stream, and all of our videos. There's a link to that gardening group. So if you haven't had a chance to join that gardening group, go hit that link, come join, share. It's a great opportunity for all of you to be able to share the things that you've got growing on as well too. I love seeing all of the pictures that people are sharing of their gardens and all the different things growing on that all of you guys have too. That's one of the great things about sharing here on social media. It's getting to share with all of you and have all of you share back with me as well too. So with that, I'm going to end this live stream this week. And again, don't forget, come join with us again next week, every week, 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, right here on Wednesday Live on the Urban Gardener. I'm Enoch Graham. It's good to see all of you guys. Thanks.